When I trained in California, I used to ride out one road, and it took me to this lake called Lake Berryessa. Lake Berryessa had about a 3/4 mile descent, and each time I'd come down that descent, I'd try to go faster and faster. I can always recall one day that my speed was really curtailed. There was a rock that I didn't see when I was climbing up the hill, and as I was coming down the hill, looking ahead, I noticed that this rock was right in my path. Well, I focused on this rock, and sure enough, it was just like radar. I hit the rock, went down, scarred up my beautiful body, and never did that again. So what I'm going to do with Julie today is to tell you how not to hit that rock when you're descending or cornering. There's a couple things that you need to keep in mind. First thing is you want to make sure as you're approaching a descent or a corner that you sit back on the back of your seat. And the reason is if there's a slight downhill and or your line or trajectory going into that turn is a little bit off, you don't want the weight over the front end. So if you're in the aero bar position and you're scooched forward, it's going to affect your tracking with that front wheel. So scoot your hips back as far as you can. Secondly, you really want your hands to come up on the brake hoods. So Julie, come back up on the brake hoods. And the reason being is that you have more control, and if you have to lightly tap your brakes, you can do that. As you're into the turn, make sure that you anticipate the apex of the turn. In other words, take the angle wide and then cut the turn short. If you have to brake, you want to brake with the front brake first. And the reason is, if we hit the back brake, it'll cause that back wheel to start to fishtail a little bit. So hit the front end first. Third, you want to make sure that your eyes are looking ahead, not at that rock. Look at the passing horizon, and that will help you track around that turn. Fourth, ideally you want to make sure you keep your elbows flexed. If I keep my elbows flexed and actually allow my elbows to flex a little bit more as I'm going around the turn, it keeps her center of gravity low. So keep the elbows flexed, and as you're in the apex of the turn, if Julie is turning to her right, she wants to allow her elbow actually to come out a little bit and her knee to go out also at an angle. And as she does that, that'll allow her to essentially lean a little bit with her weight over the bike. So again, it's important when you're going on a descent or in cornering, a number of things. Sit back. Make sure that your eyes are looking ahead. Keep your elbows slightly flexed. Allow your knee and your elbow to go out slightly. Scooch over on the side of the seat. Once you've got those, you've got it mastered. But I'll go back to the first thing I told you. Eyes have to be up as you're going into that turn. You won't hit the rock.